Steve Allen on LBC. Text 84850.
Here's a sad couple here, a very sad couple. Well, in fact, they're angry. They're in the papers today. They've hit out at planned reforms to the leasehold system that would leave the royal family exempt from the changes. They live in the Scilly Isles and their home falls under Prince Charles's Duchy of Cornwall. Alan Davis and his wife Glenn, both 78, have less than 40 years on the lease. According to Alan, his home is unsaleable unless he can extend the lease. This happens to a lot of people. If the Duchy agrees, it's likely to cost him thousands of pounds in extra charges per year. They've been living in this house since 1996. They bought it back in 83. It had 100 years on the lease. He pays £25 a year ground rent, but has friends who've seen theirs rise to £7,000 or £12,000 at the hands of the Duchy after extending their leases. I don't think that the Duchy actually thinks about people in this particular case. Last year, I think the Duchy made £22 million profit for Prince Charles. He used it to fund his official duties and lifestyle and the children. The couple are among residents who've been campaigning for years to be given the same rights as other parts of the country. And it's looking like it could be a very expensive thing. But the Duchy insisted it was just trying to protect the previous environment of some of the most beautiful parts of the estate, but couldn't explain why that couldn't be done by the local authority. It's basically screwed them, because they've only got 40 years left. Who's going to buy a house with 40 years left? Nobody. You will get some houses in Regent's Park where they say so-and-so, did have 900 years on the lease, now it's gone down to whatever it happens to be. And then people try and bounce it up again. I think my brother's done that, trying to sell his place. He's paid, I think, £20,000 to try and get more years on the lease. Because if you're looking to sell it, you want 100 years, don't you? Minimum. But there you go. Steve, I live on Dartmoor and there are lots of Duchy properties with short leases. Thankfully, not mine. That's why they appear so cheap, but the ground rents and insurance charges could be extortionate and no statutory right to extend the lease. I thought he'd want to extend the lease. If somebody said to me, listen, I've got a lovely house here, it's on Dartmoor, and you go, OK, that's actually quite nice, and they go, but the lease is only 50 years, and you think, well, what's the point of that? That's like throwing money away. The idea is that you want to be able to sell it to make some money back on it. It's a shame. Banks and building societies require 70 years left on a leasehold property, otherwise they won't offer a mortgage, says Nick. Well, that's why this couple here are fuming. Who's going to buy their property? They've only got 40 years left, but of course people don't think about it. It's only in this day and age that people suddenly think about it. What about all those people who live in the tower blocks that have got this dangerous cladding on? They can't sell them for love nor money. And years ago, the government was saying to people, buy your council flat. Buy your council flat. So loads of people bought their council flats at huge discounts, so they live in tower blocks. Unfortunately, what they didn't tell you at the time was that when they do any work on the tower blocks, you're liable for it. All the people who didn't buy their flat, they just carried on renting from the council, it was covered. The people who bought it thinking, this will be a good idea, we get it cheaply, unfortunately got saddled with all sorts of bills.
Steve Allen. Tweet at LBC.